Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, my friends, whenever you are watching this video. Welcome back to another Math Time with me, Miss X. I am super excited to have you all here again. Let's begin by taking a look at our objectives. Remember, our objective is always broken up into three separate parts so we know exactly how we're doing something, what we're understanding, and lastly, why it's important or why we're doing it. Read with me or in your head as I read out loud to you. I will use the chip model or place value disk followed by addition to unbundle and find a missing part in order to see that adding and subtracting are related. I'm going to show you exactly how to do this in the teacher model that's coming, my friends.
Welcome to the first part of our teacher model. You'll notice that we have a blank place value chart along with a subtraction number sentence or a subtraction equation. As always, when we subtract, it's very important that we identify and figure out what parts or wholes are given and then what exactly we are solving for. In subtraction specifically, we always begin with our whole followed by a given part in order to find a missing part. And as always, specifically for subtraction, when we subtract in our chip model, we only show our whole. So let's go ahead and do that. Our whole is 244. 100, 200, 210, 220, 230, 240, 241, 242, 243, 244. Now that we've completed drawing our chips of our whole on our blank place value chart, I want us to look at the numbers to see if we can solve any of these numbers mentally. This is going to be very difficult. So for this problem, we're actually going to solve using our vertical algorithm and our chips. Now that we've got that straightened out, let's think about whether we need to unbundle. We can think about that by drawing our magnifying glass. Great, we've drawn our magnifying glass. This will help us look closely at numbers to see if we need to unbundle. Let's begin by looking at our ones place. In our ones place, we have 4 ones, and we actually need to take away 5 ones. So, can we take away 5 ones from 4 ones? No, we can't. So what should we do? We need to unbundle a 10 and move it into the ones place. So let's go ahead and do that. Now that I've unbundled the 10, I have to reflect that. I only have 3 10s now. And I know that there are 10 ones in 110. So when we move that, when we unbundle that 10 into the ones place, it has to be the same amount, just different units, which is a 1 in this column. Great. Moving on, now let's go ahead and reflect these changes in our ones place on our ones place in the vertical form as well. So I have 10 here and then 4 there. Now I actually have 14 ones and not just 4 ones anymore. Go ahead and take a look. Can we take away 5 ones from 14 ones? Yes, we can. It's actually really easy. I just have to take out that row, that single row. So I have 5 and then 4. That means I have 9 ones left. And then moving on to my 10s. I have 3 10s now, and I'm going to take away 2 10s. That's also really easy. Bloop. I have just 1 10 left now. And I'm going to go ahead and reflect that as well in my tens place, And then taking a look at our hundreds, we have 200s, and we're going to take away 100. Bloop. Now I have just 100 left. Therefore, my missing part is 119. What is the answer to 244 minus 125? It is 119. Now we're going to check our answer with addition. Let's write that with a complete number bond to see if it works. You'll notice that I drew a number bond. Now I'm going to check with addition in order to figure out if our missing part is correct. We started with subtraction and now we're going to double check through addition. This will really help us see the relationship between adding and subtracting. First, let's begin with our number bond though. Let's fill in what we already know or what was already given to us, not what we had to figure out. So we know that the whole was 244 and we also know that the given part was 125. Let's go ahead and check with addition now by using the arrow way. Beginning with the part that was given to us, which was 125, and we're going to land at our whole, which was 244. Let's go ahead and jump. We're starting at 125. I think a jump that's going to bring me really close to 244 is probably another 100, because so if I jump 100 more, that's actually going to bring me to 225. I'm really close to 244 already. Okay, let's go ahead and keep going. I'm going to jump. I'm going to look at my 10s and my 1s and see if I can figure out a pretty big jump that brings me really close to 244 so that I can get to 244. Let me try, let me try 20 more. Let me try 20 more. 225 plus 2 more 10s would be, it would be 245. That's too much. That's far too much. So if it's 245, then that means I need to do 1 jump less. Oh, so then to get to 244, this would only need to be 19. Oh yeah. Okay, so then I can do 100 jumps first and then 19 jumps, and that would bring me to 244. 100 jumps and then 19 jumps gives me the missing part of 119. Let's go ahead and try a different jump and see if it still matches. I'm going to keep my 100 jump from 125, so I'm staying at 225. I'm going to do 10 more jumps. That's going to bring me to 235. And then I'm going to jump. Oh, I need more space. I'm going to jump 5 more to get me to 240. And then I'm going to jump 4 more in order to get to my number, or my whole, of 244. Which way was easier? For me personally, it was easier to have 100 jumps and then 19 jumps. But if you need help with smaller jumps like this, it's totally okay. I have 100 jumps, 10 more jumps, that's 110. Plus 5 more jumps, that's 115. Plus 4 more jumps, that's 119. My missing part is still correct. Welcome to the next part of our teacher model. We have another subtraction equation with another blank place value chart. This time without labeling, but that's because we are going to use our place value discs instead of the chip model for this next equation. Go ahead and take a look. Would it be easy for us to solve this problem mentally in our head? No, it would not be. I can't keep all those numbers in my head. It's very confusing. So the vertical algorithm would be the easiest way and the best way to solve this. Part of your job as students is to know which tools to make your work easier. Vertical form is an excellent choice for a problem like this. Let's make a math drawing using our place value disc. because that will help us make sense of our numbers. As always, when we subtract, we like to label. Well, it's important to label all the time, but in subtraction, it's especially important so that you know what you are given and what you are solving for. In subtraction specifically, we always begin with our whole, followed by a given part, in order to find the missing part. Therefore, when it comes time to draw our model, whether it be the chip model or the place value model, the place value disk model, in subtraction, we always only draw the whole so that we can take away that part. Let's go ahead and do that now. 584 is our whole, so we will be drawing 584 on our blank place value chart here. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 510, 520, 530, 540, 550, 560, 570, 580, 581, 582, 583, 584. Now that we've finished drawing our whole onto our blank place value chart, let's go ahead and set the problem up to subtract. We can do that by drawing a magnifying glass. Magnifying glasses are really, really helpful for when we are subtracting and we need to figure out if we need to unbundle. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's draw our magnifying glass. I'm going to fix that a little bit. The magnifying glass will help us figure out if we need to unbundle. Beginning with our ones place, we have 4 ones in our whole. Can we subtract 7 ones from our 4 ones? No, we cannot. So what do we need to do? We need to unbundle from the tens in order to do so. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to unbundle a 10 here. So since I unbundled, I only have 7 tens now. I'm going to move that over into my ones, and to make 10 in the ones place, I need 10 ones. Since I have 10 ones here and then 4 ones here, I no longer just have 4 ones. I have 14 ones. Is it pretty easy for me to take away 7 ones now from 14 ones? Yes, it is. So let's go ahead and do that. So I see 5 here and then 6, 7. Super easy. That's why we set up with our 5 groups, because it makes it so fast. You'll notice then that I only have 4 and 3 left, so that's 7 ones. I have 7 ones left in the ones place. And then with our tens place, let's take a look. We have 7 tens after borrowing or unbundling a 10. Now I'm going to take away 4 tens. Let's see if we can do that pretty quickly. I think we can, because we actually set that up with our 5 groups, and that makes it easier. We can either do doubles, or we can just take away 4 from the 5. I'm going to go ahead and actually just take away 4 from the 5, because it's just easier for me to see it that way. Alrighty, so then I see that I have 2 here and 1 here. That means I have 3 tens left after subtracting. 1, 2, 3. Moving on to our hundreds place. I have 5 hundreds. I didn't need to really borrow anything because I had enough tens for me to subtract. So we didn't have to adjust the hundreds at all. We didn't have to unbundle it at all. I have 5 hundreds. I'm going to take away 100. Whoa. There we go. I have 4 hundreds left. Therefore, my missing part is 437. One way that I can double check that is I can do the arrow way. I can add through the arrow way and figure out if my missing part is correct. If 437 is in fact the amount of jumps that it takes for me to get from 147 to 584. Let's go ahead and do it. 147, that's our part, and then our whole is going to be 584, and I'm going to label that as well. How many jumps can I get? How many jumps can I make in order to get close to 584 without going over? I'm going to do 400 jumps and see where that puts me. Or actually, let me make my arrow a little bit shorter. I'm going to make 400 jumps. That'll land me at 547. Ooh, so close. So since I see that I have an 8 in the tens place, I'm going to do 40 more jumps and see where that puts me. Okay. If I do 40 more jumps from 547, that's going to put me at 587. Oh no, that's a little bit too much. Okay, so if I'm trying to get to 584 and I actually went over, now I'm at 7, I think that this needs to be lowered to 3 less. So 3 less than 40 is actually going to be 37. So let me adjust that. There we go. So my missing part is in fact 437. My number bond will also reflect that, with the whole being 584, the given part being 147, and then the missing part being 437. So given part, missing part, the whole, that's correct. Our jumps, or our addition practice with the arrow way, reflected the same missing part that we did when we subtracted using place value discs. Welcome friends and families to the last part of our teacher model. You'll notice that we have a new subtraction equation as well as a blank place value chart that is labeled. We are going to be using the chip model and the vertical form. Now, we're going to be doing that because it's very hard to solve this problem mentally. Sometimes it's very easy to solve an equation mentally, but this is not the case for this equation. My model needs to be labeled first. So we need to determine which numbers represent wholes and parts, and then whether we're solving for a whole or a part. Notice that we are solving a subtraction equation. With subtraction, always we begin with the whole followed by the part or a given part in order to find a missing part, and as a result, in our place value model, we will always only draw the whole when we are subtracting. So let's go ahead and begin. Our whole in this problem is 941. Let's begin by drawing 941. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. Time to switch over to my tens. 910, 920, 930, 940, 941. Now that we're done drawing our whole on our place value chart, it's very important that we think about whether we need to unbundle. In order to unbundle, or in order to closely think about that, we'd like to draw our magnifying glass. This will help us look closely at our whole to see if we have enough units for each place value to subtract. Let's begin with our ones. We have 1 from 941. Can we subtract 7 ones from 1? You know, that would be extremely difficult and we cannot do that. So, where could we get more ones? We can get more ones from our tens place. So let's take that 10 and let's cross it out. Let's move it here. Before continuing in our ones place, it's really important for us to reflect our changes. So we no longer have 4 tens because we're borrowing. We're unbundling a 10 into the ones. So we only have 3. We only have 3 tens. Now we can continue with our work. So if we're moving a 10 into the ones, we have to change it into ones. So we know that there are 10 ones in a 10. Great. Now I'm done. I have 10 ones and 1 1. So that tells me that I actually don't have just 1 1 anymore. I have 11 ones. Can I easily take away 7 ones now? Yes, I can. 5, 6, 7. Beautiful. And then you'll notice that I have just 4 ones left after I took 7 ones away from our 11 ones. Let's write it down. Now moving on to our tens place. Moving on to our tens place. Can we take 8 tens from 3 tens? Take a look. We have 3 tens now. Can we take 8 tens from 3 tens? No, we cannot. So where can we get more tens from? Yeah, we can get more tens from our hundreds. So we're going to borrow this friend and we're moving him over. Now before we continue with that work, it's important for us to reflect our changes in the vertical form. So instead of 900s now, we only have 8 because we're unbundling 100 in order to have more tens. We know that there are 10 tens in 100. Great, we unbundled, so now we have enough tens. Let's take a look. I have 10 tens here. I have 3 tens here. That gives me 13 tens. I no longer just have 3 tens. I have to change that one more time to make, or to reflect 13 tens, which 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 tens. Now we can subtract. I had to take away 8 tens from 13 tens. So I have 13 tens. Let's take away 8 tens easily. 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, beautiful. I have 3, 4, 5, so I have 5 tens left after taking 8 tens away from 13 tens. Now let's move into our hundreds. I have 8 hundreds. Whoops. I have 8 hundreds and I need to take away 5 hundreds. Can we easily do that? Oh, yes, we can. I see that we have a 5 group there. That's so easy. Thank goodness we have it in 5 groups. Lovely. I see 1, 2, 3 hundreds. So I'm going to go ahead and write it down. Therefore, our missing part is 354. Let's double check that with addition. This time I'm going to double check that with our vertical form or our new groups below. So let's begin with the part that's given to us, which was 587 plus 354. Oh, I remember that was also a part. And we're trying to figure out if these two parts make a whole of 941, okay? It's really important. Let's see. So I'm taking a look at my ones place, and I know that it only takes 3 more to get to 10 from 7. So I would have 1 left over, and I would have a new group of 10. I would have a new group of 10. Moving on to my tens place. I know that it only takes 2 more to combine with 8 to make a new 100. So if I take 2 out of the 5, that would leave me with 3 and then 4. So I would only have 4 tens left because I'd be bringing a new 100. Then I have 5 and 3, that's 800s, plus 1 more 100, that's 900s. Whoa, that's awesome. Yeah, our whole is 941. So that tells me that 354 is the correct missing part. That's really awesome, my friends. It's very important that we can use addition to cross-check our subtraction problems. Now let's go ahead and put it into our number bond because that's also really important. So let's label our parts and our wholes. Our given parts being 587, and then our whole being 941, and our missing part being 354. So 587 plus 354 equals 941. Therefore, 941 minus 587 is 354. And likewise, 941 minus 354 is 587. It's very important that we have these subtraction and addition practices so that they can check each other. That helps us see the relationship between adding and subtracting. So great job, my friends.
As you get ready to move into independent practice and your exit ticket, don't forget to keep these 4 things in mind. Number 1, read the instructions carefully. I say this because some problems will ask you to do the chip model, other problems will ask you to do the place value disk. Read the instructions. Number 2, remember to draw the magnifying glass for subtraction problems in order to figure out if you need to unbundle. You only draw the magnifying glass when you are subtracting. Number 3, check your work by adding. You may add with the arrow way or normal vertical form like I did for the last teacher model. Number 4, let me know whether you solved vertically or mentally by writing it down in the box where it says to. Don't forget to click the link in the description box below if you need to access the worksheet. It will take you to the worksheet. Don't worry about printing it if you don't have access to a printer. Just write down the problems on a separate piece of paper and solve it on your own the best that you can. I'm looking forward to all of your wonderful work. Good luck, my friends, and I will see you next time in my next lesson.